watch my mouth really good today. I'm very grumpy. Hi. I did tell you all over on Instagram to be here at 1-ish. I say ish because I'm never late or early. I arrive precisely when I intend to. Whoa. So, what we're going to do, this is the chopper that we forged on the live feed a few days ago. I guess it was Monday? Was it Monday?
Mm-hmm.
What is today?
Wednesday.
And yesterday was Tuesday. Strange. I have no clue. So, and that's good. I never really did have a clue, and I definitely don't have a clue now. So if you want to get a good close-up view of this, I'll show you what we have. Here's what we have. This was made out of, I took 3 pieces of EDC RV2 and I forged welded them together to make this chunk. So I had a big enough chunk to make an integral. And now I'm going to first, you know what, I was just thinking about this. I hate it when I'm watching somebody's video and they tell me about all the crap they're gonna do before they do it. So we're not doing that. Forget that part. I was just thinking about how much I can't stand that. I'm not doing that. I don't like that. Get my mask. I will not wear this in public. If you feel like you need to go out in public and you're worried about it, don't go. I gotta get something. Hey, there's blood droplets all over the floor, Curtis. How'd that happen? Curtis got cut yesterday, but he's okay. You can't hear me right now, so I can say whatever I want to. So I'm cleaning this. So I've been noticing all the people's headgear. I'm gonna talk to you, Heath. I'm talking to Heath. Have you noticed anyone's headgear and stuff? Yeah. It's pretty fascinating. You feel like, yeah, I mean, but if I felt like if I needed to wear this out in public, I wouldn't go. Yeah. But I don't go in public. I don't want to go in public anyway. So I have a cool spot. I'm isolated. We got a cool shop. We're isolated. Wash your damn hands, and you'll be all right. All right. Mask. Get right into it. Grinder. we're gonna switch to a sharp belt. This belt, I try to get my money's worth out of these things. These are ceramic belts. Sometimes you can refracture them with a stainless wire brush, and that'll help sometimes, or you can use a piece of carbide or something. But once they start making things shiny, that means they're not cutting anymore. So I'll get one that I used this one last time on wood. So I'm going to use that. I never use a brand new belt when I'm working on edges. So I've got my profile. Let's get a ruler and I'll show you some stuff, what we got going on here. How's it going there, fellas? Anybody watching? Two people? I wasn't talking about you watching. I know you're a very clean fellow. Tell me, I'm just messing with you. Thanks. All right, see what we got. How many people are on with us? Wow, 150, that's cool. So we're gonna have ideal, the ideal. So the ideal for me for a chopper or bush knife or something I'm gonna use out in the woods, I like 11-inch blade for this style. If it's a kukri, sometimes longer. That's nice. It's gonna be pretty stout. We're at about 3/8, which is perfect. We got a nice taper. The widest point of the blade is 2 3/4 wide. And that's really nice. So we'll just keep moving forward. This is not a really accurate stick, but I don't care about. I don't need it to be perfectly a certain length, a certain width. I don't need that. I know how it feels. I know it's going to feel right. I'll show you something. If someone picks up your knife and does this and starts to balance it like that, take it out of their hand and never let them buy a knife from you. Don't let them do it. Don't let them ever touch your knives again. And if they look at it, just smack them one time in the face. Just don't let them do it. If they pick your knife up and start doing that, just stop being friends. Never talk to that person again. That means nothing. That doesn't mean balance. Balance means when you pick something up and it feels right. Oh, that feels right. That feels balanced. Balance does not mean you have a scale and you're measuring the weight of something. That is stupid. And if you're doing that, I'm going to call you out and say you're ignorant. Ignorant means you don't know. You don't know any better, so stop doing it. Now you know better, don't do it anymore. Okay, got that out of the way. Okay, sharp belt. All right. Let's do a little layout here. Foundation. This is the foundation. You can see that is not going to be a rat tail tang. I think the next time I meet someone face to face and they say rat tail tang, I'll probably smack them. Now I might get smacked back, but it's not a thing that you should do. So this tang right now is 1 inch wide. So I call this a hidden full tang pretty much. It is over a 1/4 inch thick. It's important to put a good foundation. It's just like you're building a building. Think of the knife as the building. The foundation is very important, especially when you do a hidden tang. That's pals from days ago. Hey, I got some good stuff if you need something for your finger hurting. Can you hear me?
Try this first.
What is that?
Acetaminophen.
Oh. Aspirin might be better, but you got regular aspirin?
Aspirin is acetaminophen.
No. Aspirin's aspirin.
Aspirin is a brand name.
No. I don't think it is. Cookies.
For now, I'll let you know.
All right. Oh, look at this knife. Forgot about that. Man, we got so many knives that we forged in here in these live feeds that I'm just not finished. Oh, there's a belt buckle. I stole that Damascus from Adam's shop. It was on the floor of his shop. I'm just trying to find, I want to find a thing and then I'm going to do something. Just trying to find a reference point here.
Zane and Amber Beard gave you $10.
Who did?
Zane and Amber Beard.
Hey, Zane and Amber, we appreciate that. That helps us make this possible. Brought to you by the generous contributions of Zane and Amber Beard. Thank you. All right, I'm looking for the center. I got a little more on one side than the other side. Let's find out what side that is. All right, I'll be right back over there. I gotta do one thing. Do one thing. Not really too far off here. It's not terrible. This could change. I'm just trying to figure this out where my center is based on the forging. And ouch. Alright, so I'm looking for something parallel. I got a little bit of one. I may as well mark the back. Let's see what the back's going to look. It's not bad. Okay. Can you see these lines? You can see them on the camera? Can you see him, Ryan? All right. So I'm looking for center and center. So I'm just looking for a relative place to say, hey, this looks like the center of the edge based on the mass of the steel. This looks like the center of the spine and the bolster area based on the mass of the steel. So I'm going to take away some of this material and then I'll go back and clean these little lines up. Okay?
Ryan Fisher donated $5 and said, just wanted to say good afternoon. You and your family are doing well in this time of isolation.
Well, thanks, Ryan Fisher. Thank you, Ryan Fisher. I appreciate that. You know, on the super chat, what we really appreciate is all of you who use the super chat and you donate whatever. That just helps us fund what we're doing here on these live feeds, and it's important, and we really appreciate it. So thank you very much. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm just tuning up. This is going to be, so foundation. Also, this is the area that I'm going to leave pretty stout. I'm probably going to grind fullers in this. And I wanted to look right on the money. So I'm just setting up. When I do an integral like this, I tend to leave it a little, forge it a little thicker. I don't know what I'm on the thick edge here because I knew there's a couple things I want to do. So I'm going to go back and rework where the edge is because I have this is centered now. This is where I want it to be. So now I can accurately find out where the center is, okay? Same thing. I'm just going back to this block. This ain't very expensive. I think I might have got this block from Grizzly Tools. And this part, I really don't even know where this thing came from. This might have been something I found somewhere, you know, like this height gauge. It don't have to be perfect or anything like that. Oh, come on. There's something crusty on here. I'm gonna get it real quick because I like it to be smooth and done.
Rob Huff donated $2 to the Beer Foundation.
What's up, Rob? Thanks, man.
And I'm gonna go ahead and butcher this name, but maybe like Juan Carlo Lorenzo donated to.
Juan Carlo Lorenzo. Cool. Thanks, man. My name is Hassan Kevishero, but nobody can say that, so we just say Jason Knight. Okay, I got some old coffee here if you guys want some.
Old coffee?
Yeah, it's right here.
I'm done with old coffee.
I like that coffee. It's, I guess it's from Hawaii, or the beans are grown in Hawaii. I don't know. Neil Kamimura gave me some really awesome coffee that I guess some friends or family of his grows. What is going on here? We have just got a lot of stickiness on this thing. And that's my fault. Not making a gear for a jet. I'm making a knife. I don't know if who was on my Instagram this morning. Subject I wanted to address, so I did. All right. I'm happy with that. That looks good. All right, next. So I'll show you what we got. So I just marked a more accurate center line. I got an accurate one back here. Now I have, this line is centered here. It crosses about right here and then opens up again. And that's because the blade's tapered. So the lines cross. They intersect and then they go back wide. So I'm perfectly dead centered here, okay? So we're gonna grind this part just a little bit and then I'm gonna get a little more flat and then I'm gonna do the plunges. Looking good. Okay, so now I'm gonna get a really sharp, a brand new sharp belt. This one's still good for roughing and stuff like that. I'm gonna set it aside, but I don't like to waste time, so I don't fool around with old wore out belts. I just go to the sharp one. Which I don't have one there. I got a question for us. So who of you have been watching the Wakizashi videos, part 1 and part 2? You can just be like thumbs up or a heart or whatever. And when is part 3 coming?
It's in the works.
What are you making that face for? Good. I'm impressed with it. I think it looks great. That took a lot longer than I thought. You know what I was thinking now? I found a brand new surface conditioning belt, and I feel like I should do it again without all the hand finish and just do a belt finish. Well, which what we may do on this. We'll see. All right. Okay. Nice. All right, now I got all that set up. So I'm set up everywhere I want to be. There's a really nice clean welds in this. I don't see any of the lines from the forge welding. This is 4 pieces of steel. Not technically Damascus. I just didn't have a thick enough piece of steel in the EDC RV2 that I wanted to use, so I made one. Boom, boom, boom. Just stuck them all together. No flux. No flux ensures a very clean, beautiful weld. So what I'm going to do next is I'll clean the plunge areas up, and I hope I don't screw this up. So I'll use the, where did it go? It's invisible to me now. Where is that tool at? Where is it? Can I not? It's gone invisible on me. No, 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 no. No, no. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, so this was, I think, originally designed by Rodrigo Safredo, master bladesmith from Brazil, and adapted by Adam DeRosiers, who made this one for me, and I like this for doing integrals. It's not my place to give permission to copy it or anything, so I had to get in touch with Adam or Rodrigo to make sure that's okay. This is all right. Ask again. Only thing about this is aggravating, taking it on and off. So, but okay. All right. So I'm just looking for evenness. I might start measuring it a little bit now just to help me out, but then I might not. So now I got those plunge areas cleaned up really nice. I think they're nice. Now I will reestablish this part. I'm going to leave the plunges alone for now so I can do some of my other types of grinding on it. So I'm going to take this back off and I'm going to do a little bit more marking. I'm just laying out to make sure I get what I want. We've worked too hard on this already to just be like, I don't mind screwing it up, because I don't mind screwing it up. I've learned a lot that way, but I didn't have to. I didn't have to learn that way, but I did, because at the time nobody was teaching this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reestablish some lines, make sure everything is where I want it to be, and then we'll go on to the next gig. I'm going to go a little finer on my profile. Take my profile a little finer. This is like a 120. Clean up my lines a bit. Where's my safety glasses? I wonder. Oh, well, I guess I can't find the safety glasses. How's it going over there, Ryan? Okay. All right, make some more marks. Ooh, today is Adam DeRozier's birthday. If you guys know Adam DeRozier's, everybody should PayPal Adam DeRozier's $5 so he can buy a beer for his birthday. Adam's my brother. He lives in Alaska. His wife is Haley. They got a new little baby. It looks like Baby Yoda. It's really cute. Okay, I'm probably getting in a lot of trouble for saying that. It looks cuter than Baby Yoda, but it's cute like Baby Yoda. Baby can already talk and shoot arrows. All right. Okay, flat, flat. Everywhere's nice and flat. That's nice. Go back. Is that flat? Imagining. No, that's flat. That's flat. Okay. Right. One more time. This is a difficult knife to make properly.
mark that side. I watched, I guess it was one of the first UFC fights Conor McGregor had, and the guy was interviewing him, and he said, so what was your plan? He goes, I didn't have a plan. It's just a fight. You never know what can happen. I just went in there and did it. And that's kind of how I go about making a knife. I have a plan about the shape and the kind of knife, but as I'm progressing, especially with a complicated, essentially sculpture like this, I just have to figure it out as I go along. So now I'm getting more accuracy here with where my center is and what I want to do and what I don't want to do, where I want to grind and where I don't want to grind. So we'll keep moving forward. I'm happy with everything right now.
What about that sweet water bottle you got?
My what? Oh yeah, swag. These are great. This thing, what's crazy is the first time I used it, we put coffee in it and it stayed hot until I drank all of it. So I put it in at my house, and I came here, and I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, it was still good. Keep it hot or cold. Nice to have swag. So next is that. And at some point today, I'll give you a sneak peek of the finished sword before you get to see the video. All right. Now, I have to decide if I'm going to put a fuller in it. And I believe that I will, because I think it'll be cool. I'm trying to think of where I'm going to put it. I should put it out here. Doo, doo, doo. Yep, that's what we're going to do. Now, a couple things can happen. We can ruin it, or we can make it really cool. If we ruin it, it's ruined. And the alternative is awesome. And my point is, don't be afraid to risk screwing something up to make something totally awesome. I'm not afraid to screw this thing up. Doesn't matter how much time I've got in it, whether it's, I'm just drawing some lines where I want to grind and where I don't want to grind. And just, you can't be afraid of stuff like that. If you want to get better at whatever, you just have to risk. You have to play that little teeny bit of risk. It's not a big one. This is just a knife. It's just a knife. Now, how come that's coming out over here? Oh, because that's even. Okay. Makes sense now. I'll just draw it all the way off so I can see. Just giving me some guidelines. All right, first thing we'll grind is this part, and that should be hollow ground because it will look cool. So we're gonna hollow grind a clip. Hollow grind a clip. I like different facets on a knife. Making everything flat is kind of boring. That's why I live in the mountains. Mountains are not boring. All right, let's, is this wheel? A little wheel? We'll do this wheel, this will look nice. All right, roughing it in with the coarse belt. I think this is a 10-inch wheel.
Might have more.
Light for this. All right, I'm going to talk about this for a second because I know a lot of people think this is hard. Hollow grinding is probably the easiest type of grinding because once you get into the groove, you're in the groove. When you're on a flat, you're still sliding around everywhere. It's kind of weird to find flat. It's very easy to find hollow. And the smaller the wheel, the easier it is. Don't let anyone, it's kind of a weird mental thing. When I was a kid, I was working with another knife maker who was a master of hollow grinding. Beautiful, beautiful grinds, still makes knives, but I think he was a bit arrogant about it because what he would do is he would say, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, only I can do this, you can't do this. Now, if someone is telling you that all the time, guess what you're going to be able to do? Well, you're not going to be able to do it because you got a mental blockage. You got a big brick wall you got to tear down before you get there. Now, you can do it, and guess what? It's easy. It is the easiest type of grinding is hollow grinding. So don't let anyone tell you that that's false because it is very easy. You have a wheel. Once you get in the groove, you're in the groove. And you can see this is just 36. So we'll go back and clean it up later more and more. We'll get cleaner and cleaner. What I want to do next is do the fuller, and then I'll grind these bevels in. So despite what you've been told, hollow grinding is easy. And it looks awesome when you combine a hollow grind with a flat grind with a fuller. Really nice facets on another complicated knife, which is a integral. So guy's a great maker, great grinder, but he can't do this, but I can't do what he does. So everybody, to each your own. You develop your style by subtleties. You develop your way of doing this. You might want to do it another way. That works. I wouldn't make a rule about it. It's sculpting, and if you can see it as sculpting or carving, you'll see it to be a lot easier. It'll become easier and easier for you. All right, that looks good. I just want to make sure I'm even on both sides. Now I'm going to go back and fuller and fuller. And where do I want to put them? I don't know. I will probably just have them stop and start about here, if that works out. I mean, maybe it works out. I hope it works out. You don't have to know everything. You know, this is art. It really is an art. Whether you see as the finished piece as an art piece or not, it doesn't matter. The process of creating it is art. The shape of it is art. I mean, Andy Warhol proved that the art on a Campbell's soup can was art. So, like him or not, I don't care. I just think you got to think about these things. Don't think about it because someone told you what to believe about it. Think about it because you're actually thinking about it. Whatever the subject may be, actually think about it. Too much dust. Even with a mask, you can get dust, even with a mask. All right. We'll do this. Do this. No. That. There we go. Wilmot. I just rough all this in. So, now we'll go this, okay? Saw something fly off. Okay. Okay. Alright. Okay. All right. So all of our rough grinding is done. I know that was kind of boring to watch. So it feels nice.
Scott Holden donated $5. Thanks for sharing.
Hey, thanks, Scott. So what we're gonna do, this is usually as far as I go. I usually don't grind, but maybe 36 before I heat treat. Dispelling a popular myth. Some people say that you have to grind to 220 or 120, and you don't. These aren't stress risers, these are grind lines. If you happen to heat treat your knife and then it breaks, it's probably because you did something else wrong, not because you have 36 grit grind lines in there. So next part is heat treat, and I'll answer some questions and do some talking. So what I want to do next is I'm basically going to normalize this 2 more times. One of the things I want to show you is like this, I'm grinding right where I want it to be. This I leave a little thicker. There's a lot of things like the setup and facets and how you want to do stuff. So if you want you don't want this part of your knife to be thin as a fillet knife. I've seen a lot of big choppers and Bowie knives. They're like fillet knife thin out here. And that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I would prefer it to have some facets and maybe a thicker point, a little more stout, because you can pry with that. And, it's going to get damaged the most. Mostly people will break tip off of a knife, and that ain't going to happen on this. So I'm happy with the way it looks right now. It's rough, but we'll heat treat it. One of the things about having to grind hardened steel is I think because it's a little more resistant, there's a little less chance of you screwing up too bad. So I do it both ways. Sometimes I grind it all the way as far finished as I can get it, and sometimes I'll grind it hard. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go back over here, cut this oven on, and we can hit some questions. Here's the thing with the question. You're asking me a question, and I'm giving you my thoughts on the subject. I'm not necessarily able to give an answer because there's so many variables involved in making knives and forging and the chemistry of it that I don't necessarily have the answer. I have an answer. So I have one of the answers that you have to form this equation on your own when you're doing this, when you're bladesmithing, when you're forging, when you're heat treating, grinding, all these different things. These are just little facets of a diamond or a stone. I hate diamonds. Diamonds are trash because you find them in every town in America. But let's say a ruby or an emerald or a real sapphire. That's something. So let's call it that instead of a diamond, because diamonds are garbage. So we're going to get this up to 1500 degrees. What you got? Nice. Yeah, that came out nice. Very pretty. Are you still filming?
Yeah, we're on the other camera while he's switching back.
Oh. Let's go over to the other camera. I'll show you something cool Curtis did. You don't mind, Curtis?
No, it's okay.
So Curtis, I'll show you something cool. Curtis Hallen made a really nice hamon on this knife here.
Hold it right there.
And you can see some details. So he's etched it, and it's really pronounced now, but that's a nice one. Those are a lot of fun. A lot of work, but a lot of fun. So this is one Curtis is working on. Did you do? Oh, you do have holes. Okay, I can see there are little teeny holes. I didn't see them all the way there. But this is kind of a nice size for everything. It's a little bigger than an EDC, but I think this is a great size. It's good for everything. It looks nice, you know. So this is a really nice hamon. It's very cool. Very good work. So I'm gonna give that back to Curtis.
What's the benefit of forging a fuller versus grinding?
None. There's no benefit to forging a fuller or grinding it. There's no benefit to it. It doesn't matter. If you want to forge them in, forge them in. I started doing fullers by forging them in, but that actually causes more problems than it's worth. There's a lot of this stuff. As we're moving, I can answer a lot of these questions. There is a massive amount of idealism in the craft and art of making stuff. So me and Tiger Lily are building a little studio shop for her. And I tend to overbuild things. I build it a little more robust. So as we're building this, I'll go back and check YouTube, and I'm looking at something, and there's a guy on there, and he's saying, you have to do it this way. You must do it this way. It must be done this way. Da, 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 da. And I looked at his construction, and I'm like, it looks kind of spindly to me, like just kind of weak and fragile. So I wouldn't build that way. But he made a bunch of rules that he can't follow, that don't apply, that don't make sense, that when you come to the final results, you can't apply them. So be able to ebb and flow in your work. There's a lot of things maybe you don't ebb and flow in, and you can't and you shouldn't. But in your work, this is a study, okay? This is a study in steel. So the truth is everything that I've done so far, I haven't actually done before in this order. I've not taken 4 pieces of EDC RV2, forge welded them together, and made an integral chopper that had a fuller and a hollow ground clip. Never done it before, first time. So I've done this similar things on different knives, but for you all, I'm doing something that I haven't really done, so that I'm just taking a risk, you know. I'm taking a risk. We're live. You can see me screw up. Here's the next risk. We're going to harden this thing with 36 scratches in there. Will it break? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to break. I don't think there's any chance of it breaking, actually. I don't think that has anything to do. You could say, for an example, I'll show you something. All the mythological stuff that you hear about anything. So here's the thing. Let's say I made up a thing. Like, this hammer keeps tigers from attacking me. So since I've had this hammer, no tigers have attacked me. So it must be working, right? That's kind of stupid because there's no tigers here. But there's a lot of logic that people make up about stuff like that. And maybe that makes sense to you, maybe it doesn't. But that's not true. But a lot of people believe crap like that, and it applies to every little facet of life. It could be what's going on now or knife making. So in knife making, I'm trying to be as direct and sensical as possible. So I hope that helps you. I hope you enjoy watching this. I'm trying to, I want to be entertaining, but I also want to be enlightening here. And I want to make a bad-ass knife, or a good knife. A good knife. I don't know how to say it.
How do you approach collaborations?
I very rarely do collaborations. There are a few makers that I will collaborate with anytime and always. I am not very excited about collaborating with someone just for the sake of doing, hey, let's do a collaboration. Hey, I'd like to, but doesn't usually work out for the benefit of the both of us. So collaboration on a design, like I like to work with Andrew Mears, I work with Adam DeRosiers, I work with Steve Schwarzer. There's a couple makers that I'm happy to collaborate with. We don't even have to discuss the project. We just do something and we'll have fun with it. And that's what's cool about it. We We don't make rules about it, we just do it. I have collaborated with other makers in the past, and it becomes a disaster. You make a thing a certain way you think it should be, and you're trusting the other maker to do it, and then they don't do their thing, they do somebody else's thing, which kind of doesn't make sense to collaborate with them on anyway. So I'm not crazy about them, but the ones that I do, they're very natural. You know, when I collaborate with certain makers, they're very natural, like those makers I was talking about. We're just waiting right now, really, for heat treat. I guess I should have started that when I got in here.
Donnie from Baltimore said, "I'll have to get one of those hammers. Tigers are going wild here."
Yeah, that's right. These are great. This is a lily hammer. You can look up his site. This is a great hammer. Short handle. The way you use it, you can hold it back here like this, but you're not holding hammer like this. You're holding hammer like this. So you can actually use it. You have more range of motion. I talked about this before. All this motion here you can use in your wrist. Not this. Not this. This'll damage your body. Okay. This is very nice. So, gosh, I'd hate to be stuck in a place like Baltimore right now. I talked to the guys who had the broadback grinder, and they're in one of them is in Maryland, and it's like I'm not fond of this whole police state idea, you know, but I get the idea of looking out for each other and stuff, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. When you have confusion and chaos, and then you get the same story over and over and over again, it's still just confusion and chaos. So make of it what you will.
Brendan donated $5 and said, "I've been binge watching all your videos, taking my first blacksmithing lesson after all this craziness is over. Thank you for the great videos."
Oh, thanks, Brendan. I appreciate that. That's good. Hey, are we more clear on what we're doing with that wakizashi now?
In terms of,
Like how someone will be able to,
is it the wakizashi or the sanmai?
well, I'm confused. I'm not sure. All right, good. Had to mute. So I'm happy with this. This is looking pretty cool. I'll show you what it was. What it was not this long, obviously, but 4 pieces that were too short to forge a blade from, but about that much of it. And you guys saw from the live feed from the other day, they're just forge welded them together. And that's how we got that. Man. This is going to be cool. I like the way that hollow grind looks too. That looks nice. It just looks so deep back there. Man, I don't know. This is the part I'm trying to figure out here, this transition. If I make this flat, how am I going to make this transition? This will be a little tricky, but I guess I can figure it out. I'm sure it'll be all right. Man, I don't know. What else?
You can tell people to go watch that wakizashi video.
Yeah, definitely go watch the wakizashi video. That was we made that from one of these. This was some stuff. So Nick found a pile of these I had laying over here in the shop, in the yard somewhere. I collect just junk metal, and I tend to like stuff that has texture, like that had a lot of texture on it. So I had forgotten about them, I think, and he went and found them, and that's what we made the wakizashi out. Part 1 and part 2. Part 3 is coming soon. Also coming soon is the chef's knife, which will be shortly. And but that thing with, you know, talking about these idealistic viewpoints on forging or grinding, or especially heat treating. There's so much mythological idealism That sounds weird, right? And that's what it is. I've heard some of the most ass-backwards ways of heat treating knives from the forums and different places out there in the interweb, you know, and I've had students come to the shop and tell me, well, somebody said do this, 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 and this. There's all these different temperature ranges, and then doing stuff completely backwards. I don't anneal blades, but if you're going to do that first. Don't normalize and then anneal. That doesn't make any sense. That makes zero sense. You can anneal something if you want to, that's fine. Then normalize afterward. What happens is you run the risk of spheroidizing the steel into a position where the carbon is isolated, and to dissolve that carbon back into solution, you have to get crazy hot. You got to get above 16, 17, 1800 degrees sometimes to get it back in a solution. So another thing that we've noticed in testing, if you do an anneal and then you harden the knife and then you break it just to look at what it looks like on the inside, you'll have, in my experience, I'm not talking about from somebody else's, my experience, and doing it many, many, many times, over 20 times, I'll have a patch where I have a coarse grain, have another patch where I have a fine grain, have another patch where I have a medium grain. So it really disrupts what's happening inside the steel. I don't recommend doing that. That doesn't make a lot of sense. It's very simple. I've normalized this blade once at 1500 degrees. I'm going to do it 2 more times at 1500 degrees. I'm going to austinize it. That's the temperature I'm getting it before I harden it at 1500 degrees. And then I'm going to quench it. Simple. Make it simple. This is not that complicated. A long time ago when I first learned, I was heat treating with a torch. I would do 1 normalize. It wasn't super accurate. I just would watch until I could get all the shadows out. I would have the blade go into solution. I'd check it with a magnet, and then I'd let it cool down to room temperature. And that was in the forge. And then I would take a torch with a rosebud tip, and I'm basically just running it back and forth across the edge like this style. You know, imagine I'm heating it up, so from here to here until I get the color I want, and then I'd quench. And crazy enough, those blades, I never got a blade back. I never got one back because it was broken like that. The only knives I've ever gotten back that have been damaged are kitchen knives. I had kitchen knives come back damaged. Kitchen knives are thinner and finer and harder. Sometimes the point would get broken off, and usually that would just happen in some crazy shipping. If I ship by U.S. Postal Service, perfect. If I ship by FedEx or UPS, a mess. So that's just my experience with it. I've never had a big chopper be damaged. I've never had a handle come off. And we're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of choppers. I mean, more than 1,000 easy. But so my oven is at 841, and I don't know how y'all are doing, but I feel like while that's heating up, maybe I'll do something else. So I'll set this aside, and maybe we'll grind something else. I was gonna grind this. I think we should. This is the barong I did from a live feed a long time ago. So let's grind on this a little bit. Probably leave a little forging on this one, but we may as well grind it while we're waiting around. Right? Since today is grinding. a sharp belt now. See, I'll try my. All right, I'm happy with that. That looks kind of cool. So I leave a little bit of forging on there. I'll leave a little bit of clean. That'll look really nice. That thing's gonna cut awesome. If you can hear it. All right. How's it going, fellers? We should probably go ahead and cut it off, actually. So, if you want to see how all the other goodies are done, the heat treat, the details, the handle, and all that, get the Forge series. I made that for you, and it is a wise investment if you're interested in being entertained by this, or more specifically, learning exactly every detail of how I'm making a knife, especially the elemental knife. The same principles apply, whether you're using the power hammer or you're translating that same technique into forging by hand. The steel still moves the same way. You still shape the handle the same way. The design concepts are still the same. So whether you know anything about knife making or you think you know everything about knife making, I believe that you'll learn something and you'll have fun doing it and you'll have fun watching it. So the Forge series, you can see the link in the descriptions, I think on our Instagram and on my YouTube. So I will show you the results of all this crazy stuff we've been working on, and I hope you guys have some uncommon sense. I'm not going to tell you to be safe, because you already should have been being safe no matter what the heck you were doing, whether there was a thing going on or not. So everything is dangerous. Leaving your house is dangerous. But what I'm saying is use your brain. You have uncommon sense. Common sense is what all these other people out here have. If you watch too much TV, you watch all these idiots from Hollywood, they don't have any sense. So make sure you do it. Uncommon sense. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, leave a comment, and give me a like. And if you give me a dislike, I don't care, but you're a jackass if you do. Have a great day. Bye.